Hello guys, I'll be talking about the definition of some terms in surgery, and I go by the name Dr. Causes Samuel, and I'd like us to begin with the word fistula. A fistula is defined as an abnormal connection between two epithelial surfaces, and this can be caused by injury, infection, trauma, or even surgery. Examples include fistula in ano, which is a connection between the anal canal and the skin; arteriovenous fistula, which is a connection between an artery and a vein; rectovesical fistula, which is a connection between the rectum and the urinary bladder. Another terminology is sinus tract, which means an abnormal blind-ended tunnel that opens through the skin. Of course, it's lined by epithelium, but unlike a fistula, a sinus tract has only one opening. That is, it opens only to the outside. Examples include those caused by infection, such as found in osteomyelitis, where you find a discharging sinus, which is one of the classical features of osteomyelitis. It could also be congenital, as in preauricular sinus. Another terminology is paranasal sinus. A paranasal sinus refers to any of the various air-filled cavities in the bones around the nose, which are lined by mucous membrane and, of course, are connected to the nasal cavity. There are 4 of these paranasal sinuses, including the sphenoid, ethmoid, maxillary, and frontal sinuses. Their functions include the production of mucus to lubricate the nasal cavity and to humidify incoming air. They also function to lighten the weight of the head. They add resonance to the voice and also act as cushion against facial trauma. Another terminology is ulcer. An ulcer is defined as a breach in the integrity or continuity of an epithelial layer, while a wound is defined as a breach in the integrity or continuity of a tissue. Now note the difference between an ulcer and a wound. While an ulcer specifically refers to a breach in the epithelial lining of a tissue, a wound can affect any part of the tissue, including the epithelium, the subepithelial layer, muscle, bone, among others. In other words, we can say that all ulcers are wounds, but however, not all wounds are ulcers. Now to suffixes, beginning with the suffix plasty. Plasty refers to surgical repair or reconstruction. It can also mean to modify, reshape, mold, or restore a body part. Examples include hernioplasty, which means surgical repair of a hernia; rhinoplasty, which means nasal reconstruction; tomy or otomy means to cut something or to make a surgical incision. Examples include craniotomy, which means to make an incision on the cranium; thoracotomy means to make an incision on the thorax. Another suffix is rrhaphy, which means to strengthen with a suture. Examples include herniorrhaphy, which means to strengthen a hernial defect with a suture; colporrhaphy, which means to strengthen the vaginal wall with a suture. This is used in the treatment of vaginal prolapse. Pexy means surgical fixation, or to fix or secure a body part. Examples include rectopexy, which means to fix the rectum to the sacrum in the treatment of rectal prolapse. Orchidopexy means to fix the testis to the scrotal wall This is used in the treatment of undescended testis. Centesis means to make a surgical puncture or to puncture a cavity in order to remove fluid. Examples include thoracocentesis, which is the puncture of the thorax to remove fluid; paracentesis, which is the puncture of the abdominal cavity to remove fluid; ostomy or stomy means to make an opening or to surgically create a hole. Examples: gastrostomy, which means to surgically create a hole into the stomach; tracheostomy means to surgically create a hole into the trachea; desis means binding or fusion of two parts into one. Examples include pleurodesis, which means the binding of the parietal and visceral pleurae into one. Arthrodesis means the binding of the bones of a joint into one. This is actually used in the treatment of some joint conditions. Opsy means to look at. Examples include biopsy, which means to look at or to examine a tissue taken from a living body. Autopsy means to look at or to examine the body after death. Ectomy means to cut something out or to surgically remove a part of the body. Examples include appendicectomy, which means removal of the appendix; gastrectomy, which means the removal of the stomach; tripsy refers to the crushing, breaking, or destruction by use of shock waves. Examples include cholecystolithotripsy, which is the breaking or destruction of gallstones by shock waves. Nephrolithotripsy means the breaking of kidney stones by use of shock waves. Scopy refers to visual examination with light. Examples include endoscopy, which means the visual examination with light of internal organs; arthroscopy, which means the visual examination with light of the inside of a joint. Lysis refers to surgical loosening or destruction. It could also mean separation of tissue. Examples include adhesiolysis, which is the separation of tissues which have been bound together by scarification. Hemolysis refers to the destruction of red blood cells. Itis means inflammation. Examples include appendicitis, which is the inflammation of the appendix. Itis refers to the inflammation of the testis. Cide refers to killing or destruction. Examples include bactericide, which means a substance that kills bacteria. Fungicide means a substance that kills fungi. Gram refers to a recording or an image. Examples include electrocardiogram, which means the recording of the electric activity of the heart. Cystourethrogram, which means the image of the urinary bladder and the urethra. Pathy refers to disease or abnormal condition. Examples include neuropathy, which means disease of the nervous systems or nerves. Nephropathy, which is disease of the kidney. Megaly refers to enlargement. Examples include hepatomegaly, which is enlargement of the liver. Cardiomegaly, which means enlargement of the heart. Rrhea refers to discharge or flow. Examples include diarrhea, which is frequent loose stools. Rhinorrhea, which is discharge from the nose. Malacia means softening. Examples include osteomalacia, which is softening of bones; tracheomalacia, which is softening of the trachea. Stenosis means abnormal narrowing or constriction. Examples include an angiostenosis, which is abnormal narrowing of the blood vessels. Atherosclerosis, narrowing of the arteries. Now to prefixes, beginning with adeno. So adeno refers to gland. Examples include adenoma, which is benign tumor of a gland; adenocarcinoma, which refers to malignant tumor of a gland. A means without. Examples include amelia, which means without limb; afebrile means without fever. Arthro refers to joint. Examples include arthroscopy, which means the examination of the inside of a joint using a lighted instrument. Arthritis means inflammation of a joint. Vesicle refers to the bladder. Examples include vesicovaginal, as in vesicovaginal fistula; vesicostomy, which means the creation of a hole into the urinary bladder. Bleph refers to eyelid. Examples include blepharitis, which is inflammation of the eyelid. Blepharospasm is the spasm of the eyelid. Cardio refers to the heart. Examples include cardiomyopathy, which is the disease of the cardiac muscle. Cardiovascular, as in cardiovascular system, which is the system of the heart and the blood vessels. Cephal refers to the head. Examples include cephalomegaly, which means large head; cephalalgia, which means pain emanating from the head. Colpo refers to vagina. Examples include colporrhaphy, which is the strengthening of the vaginal wall with sutures in the treatment of vaginal prolapse. Colposcopy means the use of a lighted instrument in viewing the inside of the vagina. Entero refers to the intestine. Examples include enterocutaneous, as in enterocutaneous fistula; enteritis, which means inflammation of the intestine. Gastro refers to the stomach. Examples include gastroduodenal, as in gastroduodenal artery. Gastritis means inflammation of the stomach. Cerebral refers to the brain. Examples include cerebrospinal, as in cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrovascular, as in cerebrovascular accident. Chole refers to bile or gall. Examples include cholelithiasis, which means gallstone. Cholecysto refers to gallbladder. Examples include cholecystitis, which is inflammation of the gallbladder. Choledocho refers to the common bile duct. Examples include choledocholithiasis, which is common bile duct stones. Glosso refers to tongue. Examples include glossopharyngeal, as in glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossitis means inflammation of the tongue. Hepa or hepato refers to liver. Examples include hepatomegaly, which is enlargement of the liver. Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. Hystero refers to the uterus. Examples include hysterectomy, which is removal of the uterus. Hysterotomy means to make an incision into the uterus. Leuco means white. Examples include leukodema, which is white patches on the skin. Leukocytes means white blood cells. Myelo refers to the spinal cord. Examples include myelopathy, which is disease of the spinal cord. Myelitis means inflammation of the spinal cord. Myo means muscle. Examples include myopathy, which is disease of muscle. Myositis, which means inflammation of muscle. Foco refers to seal. The seal is actually a semi-aquatic animal which has short limbs. which it uses to swim in water. So an example is phocomelia. So phocomelia literally means seal limbs, that is short limb. Odonto refers to tooth. Examples include odontoma, which is a benign tumor of the developing teeth. Odontalgia means pain emanating from the teeth. Orchid refers to the testis. Examples include orchidectomy, which is the removal of the testis. Orchitis refers to inflammation of the testis. Osteo refers to bone. Examples include osteonecrosis, which is necrosis of bone. Osteolysis, which means abnormal increase in the bone resorption. Crypto means hidden. Examples include cryptorchidism, which is undescended testis. Cryptogenic, as in cryptogenic fever, which is unknown fever. Nephro refers to kidney. Examples include nephrolithiasis, which means kidney stones. Nephrology, which means study of the kidney. Renal also refers to the kidney. Examples include renovascular, as in renovascular hypertension. Renography, which means the imaging of the kidney. Neuro refers to the nerves or the nervous system. Examples include neuroblastoma, which is a malignant tumor of the nerves. Neurofibroma, a benign tumor of peripheral nerve sheaths. Oto refers to ear. Examples include otorrhea, which means discharge from the ear. Otoscopy means the viewing of the inside of the ear by use of a lighted instrument. Pneumo refers to the lung. Examples include pneumonectomy, which is surgical removal of the lung. Pneumonitis means inflammation of the lung. Rhine refers to nose. Examples include rhinoplasty, which is nasal reconstruction or reconstruction of the nose. Rhinitis refers to inflammation of the nose.